On Night of Nostalgia, Patrick Ewing leads Georgetown past St. John's at Madison Square Garden, New York. From the venue to the uniforms to the thrilling finish, Georgetown coach Patrick Ewing's first game against his college arch-rival turned close friend Chris Mullin in the St. John's Red Storm seemed like an exercise in nostalgia Tuesday night. After a timeout in a tie game, Hoyas center Jessie Govan created separation with a three-pointer with 25 seconds left, and point guard Jonathan Mulmore capped a 69-66 win with a pair of free throws with 10 seconds to go before St. John's missed its final shot, a three-pointer from Shamorie Ponds. It was a fitting ending for the 109th entry in the historic series, which overflowed with reminiscence even before the players did their part and gave fans a tightly contested thriller. Part of that sentiment was inescapable. Tuesday was Ewing's first game as a head coach at Madison Square Garden, where his number 33 New York Knicks jersey hangs in the rafters and where he and Mullin shared in so many bitter battles as college players for the programs they returned to coach. Just beyond the sideline where Ewing and Mullin paced were two towering monuments to the old Big East Conference, as former St. John's coach Lou Carnesicca sat in attendance and former Seton Hall coach Bill Raftery worked on the broadcast team for Fox Sports 1. Part of the nostalgia was poured on thick. Georgetown chose to wear its alternate, teal-colored uniforms, the same color, the team said, though the new versions were a brighter shade, that the Hoyas wore during the 1982 national championship game. Ewing gave a big smile and a wave to the fans at the Garden, shouting his name as he walked away from the sideline following a post-game radio interview. They were left over from an animated announced crowd of 9,406, a rowdy group sporting red and hungry to see two stars face off once again. Georgetown's players had other priorities. For the 8th-place Hoyas, 12-4, 2-3 Big East, who were reeling after a 90-66 home loss to Creighton on Saturday, Tuesday's game was about getting back on track against the only winless team left in the conference. The Hoyas did so behind its stalwart leaders Govan and Marcus Erickson, both of whom were bouncing back from their worst performances of the season against Creighton. Erickson set the tone early, muscling his way to 11 points in the first half against the pressure defense of St. John's, 10-7, 0-5. And finishing with 17 points on 5-for-11 shooting including 2 three-pointers in 37 minutes. Govan, working with Erickson in the post to drive the offense, led the team with 18 points on 7-for-19 shooting and a team-high 13 rebounds. Sophomore guard Jigan Mosley was the critical third scorer and had 13 points off the bench on 5-for-8 shooting and 5 assists, to 6 turnovers. And freshman reserve guard Javon Blair added 9 points. It wasn't a clean game for Georgetown, which shot 33% and gave up a whopping 23 points off 22 turnovers. But the Hoyas out-rebounded the Red Storm 49-34 and relied on Govan, a New York City native with about 30 friends and family members in the crowd, and Erickson to churn out offense. Ponds led St. John's, which lost its 5th straight game, with 17 points on 5-for-15 shooting, and Justin Simon had 16. Marvin Clark finished with 15 points and a team-high 7 rebounds, and Tariq Owens,